Wandering Merca, how are you? First one here, you win a prize. I'm not sure what the prize is, but yeah, just got on in a couple seconds now. Ode to my coffee, how are you? Sarah Bobera, how are you? So yeah, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies. I shared it to a few people, but that's all I'm doing. Not much. What's up there, Buttercup? Got the crows crowing. Like I said, they usually are. Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans, where there's one or two people here. This the count is never right, because I got two people talking over here and it says one. No, now it says three. Crow Cairns, how are ya? Dumb and Tough, how are ya? Daddy Firefly, how are ya? Uncle Bert's coming to you on a weekday. Didn't see that coming, did you? No, you didn't. So I figured I had a little bit of time. I'm gonna get out here for like about an hour, see what it's like on a weekday in the later afternoon, see if it's worth my time. If it's worth your time, see if it's worth my time to go live this time of day. I'm gonna collect fleabane. Ooh, nice. I don't know if I would recognize the plant. I don't know if I know fleabane. Maybe it didn't grow in California, I don't know. Never ran across that. Seem to be pretty consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, check you out. Check. Okay, so that'd be my first number on the lottery ticket. Give me another one. Hey! Oh, asshole. Somebody's inviting me to co-host, but I don't know who that is. Looks kind of like chamomile. All right. Library. What? Themes that may be uncomfortable. What? Crows? They're restricting my life already? I didn't even get a chance to do anything. I mean, I'll do some shit, sure enough, but you didn't even give me a chance to do anything. Hey, Heather, how are you? Mia Moon, how the hell are you? Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. And yes, it was Marie Laveau's house that burned. Norm from Cheers just passed away right as I was going on here. TikTok preemptive striking. Yeah. Well, they know I'm gonna do some shit. They know me. Come on. They know I'm gonna do some inappropriate things. Fallen Angel, how are you? Karen Price, how are you? Uncle Bert, concerning substances featured in this live could harm your health. There, you know what? I wrapped my hand around that IPA. How could you even tell what it was? Well, you know what? Fuck y'all, man. So there you go. They got the little disclaimer. Now they're fine. President Trump and Hegseth are announcing some crap right now. I don't even care. Violet Ray 420, how are you? Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans, where I teach witchcraft for a living. That's what brought me to New Orleans in the first place. Thinking about stopping in soon for a weekend. Well, now's a really good time. Spring's good. I mean, we just got up to the like 91 today. I think it's gonna be a little higher tomorrow, but then it's gonna rain. But spring, I recommend spring. But I also recommend summer. It's like we got air conditioning on everywhere. Hexfest is coming, and I'm teaching 3 classes at Hexfest. This year's Hexfest is all the presenters are local New Orleans practitioners, or at least Louisiana practitioners. So it's going to be a more epic Hexfest than ever. So I encourage you to get over there to hexfest.com and see whatever the hell it was that I said I was going to teach. Because I do not recall, but it does not matter. I turn on the fucking camera, I start teaching witchcraft, or I step in front of a crowd and I start teaching witchcraft, and it just comes out from somewhere. I don't even know. I don't know, Annabelle. I don't know. Like, we have enough haunted. We don't need Annabelle here. It's really cool that plantation burned down. Some people said that Marie Laveau's place burning was. I forget, Madame Dauphine, Lalaurie, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That was her house that burned down. And that would have been really cool. You know, she was terrible. She tortured slaves. She bled babies to bathe her face in their blood because it took away her wrinkles. That kind of thing. You can see that on the American Horror Story Coven. And get to know New Orleans pretty well by that show, too. I've binge watched it probably 20 times, and probably 10 of those times was here in New Orleans. It would have been great if it was her house that burned, but no, it was Marie Laveau's house that I am now told is owned by Bloody Mary. And I don't really know Bloody Mary. Haven't really met her. Let Annabelle live. I'm rooting for that dog. I think they need to take Annabelle to Washington, D.C., or wherever Mar-a-Lago is, that part of Florida. Take her there. Yes, it sounds crazy. But like I said in my video before, it's like, New Orleans is haunted enough. If you go into the French Quarter, you can get an apartment that's haunted or not haunted. It says right there on the sign. I always thought maybe it'd be cool to, get an apartment that's haunted, then I could cleanse it. Maybe it's cheaper, but I don't need to live in an apartment. So my house is definitely haunted. I'm cool with all of the spirits in the house. They like to party. It's a big house, so it probably had a lot of parties back in the past, and it has a few parties now too. But I'm totally cool with the spirits here. Slade Davis, how are ya? Salem, how are ya? Consuming substances featured in this. Well, see, all right, she already got me, so I might as well consume, right? Metaphysical Mama, how are you? Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans, where I teach witchcraft for a living, and what we try to do here is see if anybody has anything they want to ask about witchcraft. You can put it in the text, put a question in there, or you can hop in a box down here and have a more extended conversation. You protect your property during hurricane season, like salt border, etc. I do, and then I also collect hurricane water. Hurricane water is great for stuff like war water. And Uncle Birch, as a lot of people know, I've been teaching witchcraft about 50 years. And even though I'm known for teaching witchcraft, I'm also known for teaching magical warfare. So that kind of stuff comes in really handy. And you can find me at gumroad.com/witch school, the common spelling, one word. And somebody wants to come in the box. Crow and Cairns, all right. You're acceptable, I suppose. Let you in. How the hell are you over there? Across the pond and stuff.
We are roasting. It is way too fucking hot. I don't know how you guys over there do this all the time. It is horrible.
Well, I was
I'm a
just
water
talking with
baby.
somebody today. They were talking about how hot it is. I said, you adjust. I've been here like 5 years. When I set the air conditioning, I set it to about 77. Below that is cold. However,
Wow.
we do get 2 weeks of winter. This week we got 4 weeks of winter, and we actually got snow. We got more snow than Anchorage, Alaska at the time. We got 18 inches of snow in New Orleans. It was a fucking blizzard, 10-hour blizzard going sideways. I was looking at it out the window, and it was hell dealing with that. This town could not handle that. The highway, the main highway, the I-10 was shut down for a week and a half. We had to bring in snow plows from other states because we don't have them here. We still have not replaced the drunk bumps on the streets and the highways because the snow plows just kind of scoop them right off the street. And I remember when the first day I went out in that shit, I'm trying to walk my asshole dog Mojo, who always likes to pull me, and he's pulling me on some ice. I almost fell on my ass. And I look around and I said, people live like this? Why would anybody want to fucking live like this? Bring in Liz. I'm not sure if I know Liz, but we'll bring Liz in.
She's one of mine, so she is. So I actually come with a question. Right now, this is gonna sound so fucking stupid, right? Given we know I'm pretty fucking capable in the path, right? Um, but it's more okay. Let me explain. The smell of burning bone and the smell of grinding bone to make bone meal or to do inscriptions on bone. Uncle Birch, I can't get past the smell. I can't.
It is a smell like no other smell. I definitely understand.
Do you have any tips and suggestions, please? Because I've tried many times, and I just can't. And I want bone meal. I need it for my corpse dust, and I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Burn some incense while you're doing it.
Tried it. I put a peg. I put a clothes peg on my nose, and I can taste it, and I can't.
Yeah, I don't have any way past that. That's a smell that never leaves, and yes, it gets in your nose. You'll never forget it. But in to your intro, there's no such thing as a stupid question except the question you didn't ask. But now that you've asked, I don't really have a solution for that one. I've never come up with that. Vicks Vapor Rub. Daddy Firefly's probably got the best idea ever, man. Vicks Vapor Rub right under the nose. It's probably a damn.
Okay, I will absolutely give that a shot. I will absolutely give that a shot. I'll put it under my, yeah.
Liz, how are you? Where are you? What do you practice?
Hi, Uncle Birch, from Glasgow, and yeah, I practice. Well, I've just been walking my path for a year, so I'm still kind of figuring out what works best for me, what kind of practice works best for me. But really, the Celtic sort of path works is what I've been following for the past like 6 months.
And that is a great position to take. Countless times on the internet, people will say, Uncle Birch, how do I find my path? And I say, well, you will not see your path. There are many traditions call it the twisted path, the winding path, words to that effect, which means something. It twists and winds, and you will not see forward. You will not see your path ahead of you. You must walk your path, and you will know what path you're on when you look backwards over your shoulder. You go, whoa, that's quite a fucking path. But you will not, Uncle Birch, how will I know my path? You will not. You will walk your path, and you will know it after you've been on it for some time. That's the only real answer.
And then it'll change.
No twist,
Oh, I'm
wind.
quickly learning that as well.
The minute you know where you're at, it'll change.
Absolutely. Got a flash goal. What the fuck's a flash goal? Flash goal: 4 gifters send a rose to your live in 15 minutes. Achieve the goal in 24-hour live goal theme. All right, send me 4 roses in 15 minutes, and then I don't know what I get, but that's what TikTok's saying. Pin. What the fuck did I do? Oh my god!
Ooh.
Wow, that was interesting. All right, so I got a flash goal. Uncle Birch coming live. It is lovely. It's 90, I think it's about 91 degrees right now. We've got some overcast, we've got some breeze. As you can see, I got plenty of shade in the backyard. I let nature take over.
2 seconds, Uncle Birch. Liz, mute your mic, babe. You've got that static again.
What?
Right, I'm just trying to work out where the static's coming from, if it's from Liz, if it's from me, or if it's from you.
I don't know.
Oh, there's a glitch just now, so there is on the lives where everybody's getting white noise, and it's the guests that are coming in that are bringing it to the live. So every so often they need to mute their mics to stop the white noise from happening.
Really? I had Liz. Liz was just talking a minute ago. I didn't hear any white noise.
Yeah, I can hear it.
That's weird.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
It's all you and Liz right now. Only people in the box. So yeah, y'all out there, if you got questions about witchcraft, I'll do my best to answer. You can throw them in the comments, or you can jump in a box.
Are you coming up, Hen?
Health is wealth. Like what?
For context, Uncle Birch, there's 2 Liz's in our little sort of like live coven that we have. Me and Health as Wealth.
The coven of Liz.
Do you remember, Uncle Birch, do you remember last year when I said to you, because we've obviously had quite a few conversations over the time that we've been on here, not all of them have been filled with animosity, you know what I mean? Do you remember last year when I said to you, I came to you with questions about being a community leader and about taking on that role as high priestess for a coven? Do you remember that? And how I wasn't too sure about whether or not I was best fitted for that particular role.
I do recall. What did I say then?
You asked, instead of answering my questions, answering my questions, you gave me more questions to think about. And one question was, do you have people that come to you for advice magically? And I said yes. And then you said, do you have people coming, those same people, do they come to you and trust you with questions in regards to their mundane life? And I said yes. And you said to me, well, that's a community leader, that's a spiritual leader.
Well, damn, I was right again. That's what I would say right now. It's like, if you have been called, then answer the call.
I did.
In my tradition, we make oaths that when the goddess calls, we will answer. And I learned the hard way that when she calls, don't argue. That's a longer
Well, I did answer.
You were definitely right, Uncle Birch. She has been life-changing for a lot of us already. She's incredible.
Yes. When the
It's
teacher is
helpful.
ready, the students arrive. When the priestess is ready, the coveners arrive. That's your sign.
That is what happened.
But you went about the right way. It's like a lot of people, they look at it as like, ooh, I get to rule a coven. I get to tell people what to do. That's the wrong motivation. You were coming from the right motivation, to serve. If you're serving your coven, then you're doing the fucking right thing.
I do. Sorry,
That's
Liz.
the fun thing, because people online presume that we even take the piss out of it and call her a holy Zaffa just to piss people off. But
I've got a Zybel, and she's my apostle, and she's Zaffelstan, and yeah, it's a whole thing. We created this whole cult thing just for social media. Sorry, Lizzie. Sorry, babe. Go ahead.
No, you're
once,
okay. But
I
she
once,
never.
I once publicly referred to myself as the Grand Poobah, just to just.
She
No,
never
I love
tells
that.
us what to do. She'll offer us
David,
assistance and guidance, but never comes with ego. Ever.
No, it never does. It never does. Let me put it this way: the first time that I asked her questions, and in a life that Zephyr was in, it was surrounding tarot because I felt a little bit rusty with my tarot, and she pulled me up into a box and went, "Have you got your cards? Give me a reading." That was it. "Have you got your cards? Give me a reading," and I'm like, um.
Oh,
wait,
she'll push you off a cliff.
wait, all three of you in the same coven?
So the bottom, Health is Wealth is an official initiate. So she is. I have coven members, but Health is Wealth is an initiate, and Lizzie is a lady that I met recently that has taken liking to what it is that I'm offering her in regards to teaching and guidance. So
Yeah.
We got a whole family affair going on over here. And then Spooky Scottish says I was clearly summoned by the holy Zappa. Is
Yes.
that you? You're
yes,
Zappa?
that's me. Yeah, that's me.
Well, hop in the box then.
Oh, she doesn't come in boxes. So she doesn't. She's got a foul mouth. She stays in the comments.
Well,
That's one.
now's the best first time to hop in a box if you don't normally hop in a box, with your coven mates and Uncle Birch. It's an excellent time to hop in a box. Gotta say.
That's one thing, Uncle Birch. Even though I've never spoken to you, like, we've always had a lot of respect for you because we know you are very, very knowledgeable on your path and other paths, to be honest. You're incredibly knowledgeable, and it doesn't mean I agree with every word you say, but who does in life? But in terms of who you are and what you stand for, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Spooky Scottish says, "Oh no, I don't get in boxes causing chaos." Do you know me? Do you know who you're talking to?
At least that does.
Chaos is what it's all about. You got to have chaos before creation. You have to have destruction before creation.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to twist your arm.
Oh, you go, Lizzie, babe. What are you going to say?
how long have you been on your path now, Uncle Birch?
Me, well, it's 50 years teaching, so 50 years and 2 months. I started teaching way before I was supposed to. Like my tradition, the second degree is teacher. And I immediately started teaching my friends witchcraft and found that I had a way of putting those things into words that people could understand. And then probably about 3 months in, my priest and priestess, I wasn't even initiated yet. And I was just taking classes and immediately teaching what I was learning in the classes in my own way. And my high priestess, Judith, Judy DeFrame, man, scariest fucking woman I've ever known, says, "You can't do that." And I said, "Hey, Mom, you taught me precise speech leads to precise thoughts. So I may not do that, but whether or not I can do that would depend on what I have passed down to my students, and you would have to, talk to them about that." So they convened a fucking whole council, a witches' council, 13 of my fucking elders. They called 5 of my students. And I sat in this hallway, and they went in there one by one by one. And when the smoke cleared, they came out with a clipboard, and they scheduled my first degree initiation. They scheduled me to meet up with a teacher and be a student teacher, teacher's aide or whatever you got, and scheduled my first 2 initiations ahead of time. So I think they saw some ability to teach witchcraft that was beyond the pale, because I was not Yeah, I still had to wait my year and a day to get initiated, but they scheduled it ahead of time. And then they scheduled my next one to be right on the heels of that, and then scheduled me to work with the teacher and officially learn how to teach. So pretty much right away. And they were teaching me witchcraft. And they were teaching me shopcraft. They were teaching me how to run a witch store. And I don't know if they knew it, but yeah, I'd be running a witch store for like 20 years until I just decided I didn't want to stay in that town anymore and run a witch store there. At 13 years old, I found what I would be doing for the rest of my fucking life. I resisted. I did other things. I was even a cop for 3 years. I was still a witch at the time. But teaching witchcraft, running witch stores, that kind of thing has been like the hallmark of my life. And now I'll be 60 in July.
That's incredible. That's like.
You think witches are fully human? Yes and no. We are another species. Historically, witches are the offspring of the Titans. And as such, our race has, there have been many attempts to wipe us from the face of the earth, as they tried to wipe the Titans from the face of the earth. So not fully human.
I think witches are made of the liminal.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're made of. Like, I think, and I know that sounds stupid trying to explain that, but I know that I'm speaking to the right people when I say that. You know what I mean? Like, our bodies are absolutely human, 100%, but I don't think our spirits or our souls are fully human. I think they come from the liminal energy, and that's why we're able to migrate between the two spaces and go further and beyond. Oh God, it's so stupid. Further and beyond. Who am I? Woody from Toy Story? But
I can't argue with that. But we see things in a different way than your average human. So physiologically, but most witches I know don't age like humans. Tell me I look 59. I don't think so.
You don't. You honestly don't.
No.
it's an interesting concept, though. E, what do you think? Do you think witches are really human?
I've also noticed that witches tend to have an ability for pattern recognition that most other people don't seem to have.
Yeah.
Have you taken my class?
No, I might do.
Do you know what I think as well? I think that, and I know this is going to sound horrible, right? And I don't care if Witch Talk hates it, but I think the best witches are the witches that are born out of trauma.
Yeah, but literally, class 1, level 1 is all about finding your pattern recognition system. Every witch recognizes patterns on a higher level than common human beings, and it varies. Like Marta's pattern, I would say, is language. She's a non-native English speaker, but yet she was a newspaper editor, editing the English language greater than anybody I know. And when I talked to her about it the first time, the way she described it is she sees the entire page on a wall, like microscopic text, and there's a pattern within the words. And it's the chinks in the pattern that set her off and make her able to find every fucking mistake. As such, she's been editing occult books for a couple years now. And these authors, they run it through Grammarly, they run it through spell check, they run it through all this stuff, and then Marta gets a hold of it, and fucking the red pen starts fucking flying, man. She's finding all the fucking mistakes because she sees it as a pattern.
Yeah.
And some witches, it can be astrology, it can be tarot, it can be patterns in nature. My pattern recognition is witchcraft. I recognize pattern, not just witchcraft, magic. I can any magic I look at, I can understand it, even though I shouldn't be able to understand it, where I haven't been trained in it. It's just that's my pattern recognition system. But every witch has it, and if you don't, either you haven't found it yet, or you're just not a witch.
Mine's is people.
Yeah, mine's human behaviour.
Yeah.
In seeing that, I think it allows people energetically, when you express that you can see that, they feel seen, they feel able to open up to you, and it allows you into a space, a liminal space, that others don't necessarily have access to.
Well, Black Rose Rising, you may have said that humorously when you said we are part extraterrestrial, but there's an old saying in the craft that goes way back, though we are children of the earth, our race is of the stars. And every, not even just witchcraft, but every mystical order that I've looked at on the planet has some sort of focal point at the middle star in Orion's belt. The Egyptian pyramids were built to depict Orion's belt, on and on and on. And way back in the legends of my tradition, they had this really weird story about these gods flying around the universe in a star that they called a starship. I always thought it was kind of a metaphorical language thing, but it's a star that moved around and spitting out planets, spitting out solar systems. And eventually the star comes to rest right around the middle star in Orion's belt. And as the species that it had birthed gained evolution, spiritual evolution. I'm trying to think of a better word for that. Enlightenment.
Yeah.
As the species that they birthed gained enlightenment, the star vibrated with a brighter light, and eventually comes to rest right around, from our perspective, the middle star of Orion's belt, and eventually vibrates with a frequency of light that cannot be seen by the human eye. I go, wow, that's some weird shit right there. And so this is like, their ideas go back to like the 50s, the first time somebody wrote them down. So nobody knew this shit. But then we find it, I believe it's Sirius B. Sirius B is in the constellation right around the middle star of Orion's belt. And it is a star that vibrates with a frequency that cannot be seen by the human eye. That we only figured out how to detect when they started calculating the movements of the things that they could see. And then they figured out the things that they couldn't see based on how they were pulling on the things that they could see. And sure enough, found a star there that vibrates with a frequency of light that cannot be seen by the human eye. So, whoa, that was true? I thought that was some crazy Star Trek shit y'all were spewing at me, but maybe they can travel around in a starship too. I don't fucking know.
Like, all of that can be tracked though, like the way the ancients venerated stars. So you've got obviously the Venus temple, where it was moved every couple of years to line up with Venus, and that's how they tracked Venus's pattern, right? They quite literally rebuilt her temple every couple of years. Same with the people that were doing the same with Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. Sirius has got several temples in the same area, but it would move a couple meters every couple of years, because obviously the star would move, but that was more to do with their rotation. You know what I'm saying? Like how we moved around it. And then you've got obviously the Higgs boson, which is the God particle, and all of the study that they've done into that, because they want to prove that creation was created by a creator, and it's this particle that holds it all together, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Nikki's saying I'm autistic and have pattern recognition skills. It's frustrating when others can't see what I see. And that kind of thing is why I do not call autism a disability at all. Matter of fact, witchcraft, belief in magic, that kind of thing. I once, when I became a cop, I had to take this thing called the MMPI, the Mississippi, Minneapolis, something. So it was a psych test, a written psych test, 800 questions. And I found when I was taking that I had to lie on a lot of stuff. I mean, some of the stuff was obvious, like, true or false, I see things that others can't see. True or false, I see things that others can't hear. True or false, evil spirits sometimes tell me what to do. Okay, you got to lie on that one. But the basis of our beliefs, at least back to the 80s, were grounds for clinical psychosis. The stuff that we believe, they said, meant that we were crazy. But like autistic people, they have mathematical skills. I always remember this guy, this blind autistic guy that was on America's Got Talent several times, and now he comes back every so often, and just fucking incredible. Every music that he fucking did was just perfect. Every note he sang, every note he played was perfect. But to him, he was just following a pattern. There was no emotion involved, but emotion was a pattern. He depicted emotion in the song, but he wasn't actually feeling the emotion. To him, it was just a pattern. He was one of the most brilliant musicians I've ever fucking seen. I forget his name, but blind autistic Asian guy, just fucking incredible. And if you watch America's Got Talent, they bring him out every few years on the Stars show or whatever.
You know what, Black? Can I just respond to Black Rose for a wee minute? Black Rose, you just said 100%. I love meeting witches that are therapists, right? It's funny that you should bring up occupation, right? Because I was sitting and I was watching stuff the other day there, obviously on the Diddy case and all this kind of stuff, because it's really interesting, right? Lizzie, can you mute your mic, babe? You've got feedback. No, it's all right, darling. And I was sitting and I was thinking about what is the worst possible job that a witch could do. And I was sitting and I was thinking the answer to that is defense lawyer, because you are defending people that you know for a fact have committed these heinous crimes, and you can't actually do justice workings on them because it would require you to lose your case. That must be the worst job, I think, as a witch.
And Black Rose, I also am a therapist. I'm a pastoral counselor. And the reason why I went into pastoral counseling was because modern psychology, most of our beliefs are grounds for clinical psychosis. But pastoral counseling counsels the person based on their religious and spiritual beliefs, which means I had to learn all kinds of, like, if I have a Catholic, I know the proper amount of Our Fathers and Hail Marys to address the various sins that they came to me with, shit like that. So I'm going from their perspective, and nothing seems insane in pastoral counseling. I'm a witch with a bachelor's in criminology. Finding the right job is being difficult. I stopped short of my my associate's degree in criminology once they got up to the math requirement. So I'm pretty much like, 6 points short of that fucking degree, but math was just never my fucking thing. Again, Marta's really good at math too, so that's another one of her pattern recognitions. But math is just not yet one of my strong points. See how I said that? Not limiting.
I'm the same with maths, but if it's practical maths, so I'm a nurse, if it's nursing equations, or if it's day-to-day life like bills and things, I can do that. But give me anything else, no. Just no, not at the moment.
Well, I don't recall. I get the books. I've read everything, so I don't recall if it was Drawing Down the Moon or People of the Earth. but there was a book that did like a pagan census back in the 80s or something. The number, some of the highest jobs were that pagans took on were nursing, law enforcement, and computer programming. And it can be said, and it should be said, that pagans pioneered the internet. And it makes sense that they did. They were on the forefront. Some of the first programmers to work on that kind of thing were pagan. And if you look at how we think, the idea of me sitting here and then this thing linking to a portal in another fucking universe and being able to interact with that fucking universe while this portal over in this fucking universe is interacting too. It's like, that's pagan. Christians could never wrap their head around those fucking ideas. So some of the early fucking programs programmers were pagan. Good at math. Only the things I'm interested in, though. Numerology, yeah, I mean, numerology is, magical math. That I'm good at. I'm good at that math. But, regular, mundane math, not yet. I will get better. I have not yet achieved greatness in that.
I always say me and numbers don't get on. And when I was 30, I found out why. It's because I've got dyscalculia and dyslexia. So they just bounce around the page for me. That I can't physically focus on them.
Yeah, and so I always got to remember to remind people. I forget. People keep jumping in. I'm Uncle Birch. I teach witchcraft for a living. I'm in New Orleans, coming to you live. I have a YouTube channel where I've been teaching witchcraft for well over a decade, and that's all free. If you want to get more serious, you get over there to gumroad.com, like gum on your shoe and the road you walk down to get to gum on your shoe, /witch school, which I've recently changed to the common spelling so I don't have to spell it the other way because people kept giving me a hard time about that.
Yeah, we're too cool for misspelled words now, Uncle Birch. We're too cool for that stuff now.
I have an online shop, but I just found out that it's down. I think I had an old card on it, and they ran it through, and it didn't go through. So I gotta reboot my web store. So I won't tell you about that right now.
Products do you sell in your shop though when it is up and running?
Everything's made by me. Incense, oils, and brews. Not that much incense, I guess, but incense, oils, and brews. Coffin. I made a bunch of coffin boxes. Been selling those too.
Did you hand make them?
What's that?
Did you hand make the coffin boxes?
No, I got, I hand painted the coffin boxes and then did shit to them. Like, I've got my favorite is the Iron Maiden box, where I have a certain amount of iron nails driven through the coffin box. And you put your enemy in there, close them up, seal it with red wax, and bury him in a grave.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, I could use a couple of them.
Love that.
Yeah,
That's
I would
usually
absolutely.
love that.
That's totally my vibe. Hurry up and get your shop up and running so I can buy me an Iron Maiden box.
Okay, I'll fix it. I just noticed, like, wow, I haven't seen any traffic in a few days, and then I went and looked. Oh, it's because my site is down. All right, that's me not paying enough attention to shit.
Yeah, I love using coffins. I've just recently.
I'll announce it on my channel when it's back up.
I just recently stuck a witch in a coffin box.
Well, and that's, I just recently made a video about that. There's like so many people sticking everybody in jars because I think they borrowed those ideas from honey jars. Circles are not really the right thing to put your enemies into. Boxes are.
I agree. And do you know that this whole protection jar thing and all that kind of stuff, do you know how much that annoys me? That annoys me so fucking much. So much, right? Because how is your protection meant to get out of that jar when the jar traditionally is made to contain?
Yeah. Well, some protection. I mean, a witch's bottle is round, and witch's bottles definitely work.
Yeah.
But the thing that people miss, and I just did a recent class. I just started my new series, The Old Ways Revived. because in my time, 50 years in the craft, living through Wicca, during the times of Wicca, we lost a lot of craft to where we are here on TikTok, where most of these kids don't know the basics of how magic works. And back in the day, we all knew the same basics. Didn't matter what tradition you were from. It's the laws of nature and the laws of physics and the laws of metaphysics. And we all knew those laws, and a lot of these kids don't know these laws anymore. So I started doing that, and one of the main things we've got to understand, war water, witch's bottle, and pretty much any recipe that we have, you need to have a heating source. There needs to be something providing heat. And there's no better and longer lasting heat than rust. Rust never sleeps. They have found witches' bottles over 300 years old in England, and this is why I really get pissed off when the hoodoo people try and say, oh no, a witch's bottle's hoodoo. And I said, well, it says witch in the title. And we have them 300 years old being dug up from old properties in England. So clearly people were fucking doing it, and they're still rusting. 300 years later, rust never stops producing heat. As long as it rusts, it produces heat. So those people, if it was a cursed bottle, because witches' bottles can go a lot of different ways. It could be a protection bottle, it can be a cursed bottle. They're still being cursed. 300 years later, they'd be in their next incarnation, still being cursed by that fucking witch's bottle because it's still rusting.
That's why the objects that they used to put in the witches' bottles in England were always metal. You know, the pins and things, they would rust over time and continue to rust. And
well, for a witch's bottle, it's a combination of the things that will rust and the urine, the acid in the urine. And I always remember this guy, like this story that I'm talking about. 300-year-old witch's bottle was done in an old bottle of port wine, and the guy that dug it up thought he found himself an aged bottle of port wine, popped the cork, and took himself a swig.
Did he get the unalive? Did he get unalive?
300-year-old rusty piss. I must have railroad spikes are great.
they used to heat the urine as well, didn't they? Before they'd. I read quite a lot on them heating the urine and then using it.
Yeah, there was a lot of magics where you would have the unsuspecting person consuming various body fluids of yours.
See, that's it, right? This is why I tell my witches the most potent and protected elements in your craft are going to come from your body. Every single excretion that comes from your body can be used in your craft at any time for any reason.
Yes, work. Yes, spit.
It's right.
I should do a whole video on spit magic. It is a thing. That thing that Fiona Horn did in American Horror Story Coven. That's some real shit. Just probably not as potent as the way she did it, but it could be if you put enough juju in it.
We had a whole, I think it was about an hour and a half phone call the other day, our little group on spit. Didn't we?
Well, good. I never hear anybody talk about that anymore.
No, it's definitely discussed.
Back when I was a kid,
Same with ejaculate, male and female. We talk about this stuff. Like, we talk all of it.
Back when I was a kid, a punk rock kid, we spat on the bands we liked. But, there was love in our spit. First punk girl that ever hit on me walked up and spat in my face. I spat back. And then we went and danced out on the slam floor together.
Sounds like a good night, to be fair. I use Spooky, I use it for an offering, but I use it for opening and closings as well. I use it for boundaries. I use it for insulting. I use it for curse work. Yeah, I use spit for everything, pretty much. Because why not? Because that's what it's there for. Yes. What else is it going to do?
We have so many bodily fluids we can use. And, I coming from an Italian family that probably has extreme ties to the mob. I do know that one of the traditions in the Italian mafia is upon your initiation, you take a sip of wine that has the Godfather's blood in the wine. In that
So
Why?
that's really cool. The very first coven I was initiated into, I'm kind of like you that way, Uncle Birch. I was initiated into a coven when I was 13 years old. It was me and two adults. One of them was familial and the other one wasn't. And it was done because when I was a wee bit younger than that, I managed to get myself into quite a bit of spiritual trouble because I was a dabbler, but I was a dabbler that was also a thief. So I would steal things from my nana, who was very, very, very good at what she done. You know what I mean? I was a teenager, early teenager. I get sent down to a convent for 3 months the year beforehand, and that didn't that didn't do nothing because obviously, obviously. So then the family's solution to me not being absolved, was to send me down to England for another few months to initiate me into a coven. And in that, obviously, I was 13 years old, went through the whole rite and the ritual, and I had to drink their spit and drink their blood. You know what I mean? Like I was 13 years old, and fuck it, like this. Here we are. Hi, here we are.
Well, in the old school witchcraft, they were looking for certain kids about 13 years old that had an awakening, and I was one of those too. I don't know if it's like those, what do they call those kids now that is star seeds? I don't know. They like supposed to be awake at like 8 years old or something, but 13 was the number they were looking for, and it happened a lot. And it makes sense. It's adolescence. Your body's changing. Your hormones are changing. A lot of people discovering witchcraft, at least back then. But I don't know if it's changing over the years. If kids are waking up younger or what.
I don't know. I think it's pretty much the same, really. Like that natural curiosity starts to come in at early adolescence. But I also think that now that we have like a insurgence, really, of pagan type parents, you know what I mean? There's loads of kids now that are being raised in these types of households where it's freely spoken about, and I think that's having an impact as well.
Yeah.
Granny Holmes.
Okay, well, y'all, I'm at 3:53, and I promised Aunt Marta that I'd be done at 4 and would start cooking dinner. So I gotta go do and stop doing uncle shit. But apparently, this time of the day on a weekday is a good time to come out. So I might do some more of this instead of just doing weekends. So if you're not following, follow. Hit the little bell thing up there so you get notified when I go live, and get over there to gumroad.com/witch school and see all the stuff I'm doing there. It was great to meet so many members of your coven. That was really cool.
Well, thank you for having us. It's been absolutely awesome. I appreciate it. Speak soon. Bye.
Thank you, Uncle Birch.
All right,
Bye.
blessed be y'all.
Thanks for having us.
As our